reviewed our whole sewer system because of all of this basement flooding stuff, and we found that the drainage system generally operates as intended under the normal conditions. In other words, the conditions they were designed for. But what they're not designed for is to handle volumes from extreme storm events. So events that are bigger than a 1 in 5, a 1 in 10, and a 1 in 20 year event. And so that's, what we found is then that we do have some problems related to that, which I'll get into. So let's go through what happens when it rains. In terms of extreme storm events, there's a bit of a question that we're all facing now is what is happening with the weather? Are we getting more and more extreme events? Our historical records, we look at 30, 40 years of rain records to do the statistics to figure out what the future is. Some scientists are now telling us those records are old. The climate is changing. You have to consider more intense storms. So something we've noticed is in the last 20 years or so, we've had about 9 extreme events over that 25-year period. Not all in the same place, like not right here, for example, but around the city we've had quite a few extreme events. So that's one of the things that we're facing.
Sir, so that, is that a 1 in 100 year storm? You've had 9 of them?
No, not 9 1 in 100. We had a 1 in 100 year storm in August 2005. And there's one rain gauge on July 15th that recorded what would be the equivalent of a 1 in 100 year storm. It was the rain gauge up, it was around here anyways. And it was just one rain gauge that was that high. There was a few others around here at about a 1 in 50 year event. And then the rest of across the city were all much less than that.
Does someone have that information about which rain gauge had the one?
Yeah, I'll show you something here. This just showing about extreme storms. This is the August 2005 storm. These blue dashes are where our rain gauges are located across the city. And the red dots are where we receive complaints of flooding. So August 2005. What you can see is the magnitude of the bars are big all across North York. Here's the 401 right across here. And you can see where the red dots are. They happen to be where the big blue bars are. That's not a surprise, right? So what it shows, though, is that the flooding mostly happens where you have extreme rain. These are all over a 1 in 100. All of these rain gauges showed over a 1 in 100 year storm. So that was a very remarkable storm. If we go to the next one.
Where is Ward 36 on that?
Oh, Ward 36 is right in here.
There are absolutely no rain.
There's yeah, we have a gauge here now, and we have a gauge here, which you'll see on the next slide. So this is the storms of July and August. This happens to be the July gauge. So there's a gauge there, there's a gauge there. This is a 1 in 100 year storm. This is 1 in 50, and that was a 1 in 50. And you can see where the flooding occurred. It was down here. Again, up in North York, there's hardly, when I say hardly any, whenever you get a rainstorm, you get people with blocked drains all over the city. That's a normal occurrence. What we look for, though, is these clusters of red. That shows that not that many people all had blocked drains. That shows that there's a problem in the sewer system. So let's just have a look. Yeah.
Can we go back to that slide for a second?
This one, yeah, sure. Councillor Carroll wants to say something.
I just want them to note something. Lots and lots of rain up there. That's in my ward. Same amount of rain as you had, but hardly any floods this time. Tell you why when you get to the end.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Because Ward 36 is a 1941 infrastructure. Combined this sewer.
Parts of it are, yeah. So here's a sewer system, and again, this happens to be a separated sewer system. The only difference between separated and what I call a relieved combined, which is what most of Ward 36 is, it's a combined system with a storm sewer built, is that this pipe here doesn't exist in the relieved combined system, but in a separated system it does. And that's the pipe that carries water from your downspout to the storm sewer. In a combined system, it goes straight to there. Anyway, so this is just showing what happens, a normal amount of rain, water's flowing, outdoor waters go into the storm sewer, indoor waters go into the sanitary sewer. As the rain continues and increases, so if you get a bigger storm, you start to have a couple of issues show up. Some people will have cracks in their basement, some water will flow into their floor drain. Some people will have leaky pipes on their drain connections. In the city itself, there might be some low spots where we have manholes. and water can start to find its way into the sanitary system. This is now a fairly large storm, a bigger than what we would call a design storm. At this point, this is a humongous storm. At this point, the storm sewer system is overwhelmed, so the water's not getting into the storm sewer anymore because it's now full and it's over capacity. And what happens when that happens is, first of all, we start to see a lot more water working its way into the odd house. The foundation drains are now flowing pretty strong, and we get a lot of water into the sanitary system, which on paper shouldn't happen. There shouldn't be any water in the sanitary system, but the reality is that we get water coming in through the tops of manholes. We get water flowing from one sewer that's surcharged. It's pressurized. The sewer is under pressure. Water's coming out of that sewer, flowing through the gravel bedding and into this. This sewer might have some cracks in it as well. Cracks on private property, water everywhere. And the next slide shows the whole thing. You have reverse slope driveways, water's pouring into somebody's basement. That's flowing into their floor drains at a great rate. It's trying to come out of there as fast as it can. It's just all flowing into the sanitary system, which is not designed to carry that kind of flow. And the point being here is that there might be a house that doesn't have a reverse slope driveway, and they've taken care of the drainage around their yard. They maybe have disconnected their downspouts, and yet they've got water coming out. What's with that? And the answer is that that other house up the street that had the water flowing in from everywhere has surcharged the sanitary system, which is now affecting every house on the street. And whoever happens to own the house with the lowest basement, they're the first ones to get flooded.